Leadership New Jersey presents the 2010 Forum on the Future of New Jersey. This year's forum, State of Change, Building a Culture of Innovation and Creativity in New Jersey. This program was recorded November 9th, 2010 at New Jersey City University in Jersey City. In this program, a panel discussion on why New Jersey, innovation and creativity. The moderator is Dr. Herman Satkamp, president of the Richard Stockton College of New Jersey. Now here's Dr. Satkamp to introduce the panelists.
Today we have a remarkably distinguished panel. I have 20 pages for each of the resumes, but we have agreed that I would not give the 20 pages because we want to hear from them. So instead of giving a lengthy introduction for each, I'm simply going to tell you who they are and then ask them to respond to this issue of why New Jersey, how do we get started, how do we cluster our resources. Tony Ciccatelli is the president of R&D Council of New Jersey, chairman of CN Communications International. And I've asked each of them to keep their comments relatively short. But we'll see how this goes.
I'll try to cooperate. Basically, I think that the one thing that this downturn in the economy has provided is it's given us all an opportunity to not just look at our country and where we're going, but we're looking at the world. People have actually seen our future. I mean, if we continue along a certain path, if you look at Europe, you can see the fundamental problems that those countries are having with the economy. So in many respects, we have sort of a view of what could happen if we don't get our house in order. Fundamentally, the first thing that has to happen is that the state, its leadership, its legislators have to get its house in order. Businesses today, to a great extent, the research and development business that I represent, everybody, we all probably went and saw The Social Network where the kids at Harvard are in their rooms and all of a sudden a business starts popping up and you have things happening very fast. That doesn't happen everywhere. That's a shift, a major technological shift that's occurring in our country. What fundamentally most of the businesses have to do, long-term planning is very, very important to a business. You can't think in terms of 5, 10 years, you have to think in terms of 15 years. So creating a culture of innovation requires some evidence that the state that you're going in, that the people that you're going to be doing business with have a long-term perspective on what you're doing and how you're going and and the problems that you foresee. Two things, back in the 80s when a good many of the businesses were coming over and there was a lot of competition between New York and New Jersey, two fundamental things made us very, very competitive. Infrastructure and transportation. Infrastructure in particular were very critical. The energy costs in New Jersey were much less than other parts of this region. That was a very important drawing point because that's a fundamental planning factor that you have to bring into your cost. So infrastructure is critical. Making sure that our grid is smart, making sure that our grid has the capacity, making sure that it's terrorist proof. All those things that have to be in place and that there's the capacity to allow us to grow, that companies can move in here and plug in and move very quickly into the environment that they need in order to grow. And the other thing, and I'll just mention this and then stop. The other thing is transportation. Transportation is fundamental to any business. Basically, we have what I would call an axis of power. We're in the middle of it. It's Boston, New York, and Washington. You get the combination of that axis of power. You get the intelligence, you get the intelligence factor in the universities in that area, in this area. You get also the financial community, and you also get the government community. So you have an axis of power in which you are in the middle. New Jersey is in the middle. Creating a long-term perspective, and that's what This governor, in many respects, is the right person for the job at this particular point in time because he's stopping, he's looking carefully at what can be done and what can't be done, even in a critical area like transportation. I know we can all talk about the ARC, and your leader, Mr. DeLassio, has called me frequently about the ARC. But there are things that I think have to be discussed and debated. But transportation, the two factors that made New Jersey very critical, and I'm not going to get into the tax factor because the taxes at that back in those days were a lot less. But we are in that area. But there are things that can be done, and the two issues, infrastructure and transportation, are critical. This state has the pool, especially on the infrastructure issues, not only telecommunications and energy, but we also have the resources in those areas to make us very, very competitive. And I'll stop there. I have many more things, but I'll stop there as well.
Thank you, John. Phil Kirchner is the president of the New Jersey Business and Industry Association, one of the largest trade associations in the United States. Phil.
Thank you. The topic of innovation and creativity and research and development is very, very important to our economy. It's, as you heard, it's a big part of our past. It's still a significant part of our economy now, but we want to make sure it remains a significant part of our economy. And there are some clouds on the horizon vis-a-vis that. For instance, the pharmaceutical industry, in terms of research and development, used to be 20% of all of that was done here in New Jersey. Now it's between 13 and 14%. Now we're still number one and we're still a leader, but there are other states nipping at our heels. Whether states or localities like Austin, Texas, or Massachusetts, or North Carolina, California, they're starting to close in on our position. Same thing with telecommunications. That has declined significantly in our state. And these were significant job generators during the past. We want to make sure that they remain there. So we need a new commitment and a strategy on innovation to maintain, I think, our leadership position in that field. And the good news is I think that's very doable, and that's something that we can achieve, because it is building a great deal on our strength. I think it's a lot easier to build on a strength, to maintain the strength, than it is to try to turn around something that's weak. And our strength really is our educated workforce that we have here, all the scientists and researchers and technical people that we have here. We have the critical mass already in New Jersey of the kinds of institutions and companies and talent that we need to succeed. And you have to balance that, as the Lieutenant Governor was saying, with the cost of operating a business here. You need both. You need that critical mass, and you also need New Jersey to be a place where return on investment is okay, at least compared to a lot of other states that want that capacity. And that is critical. Again, it's positive in the sense that we already have a big lead in that area. And if you don't have the balance, other states who don't have it can't compete. And I use the example of Nevada. Nevada 2 and 3 years ago made a very concerted effort in this state and some other states to try to lure research and development companies. Their lure was that Nevada has no corporate income tax. They have no personal income tax. From a tax standpoint, it doesn't get any better than that. But they also have no great research institutions, no hospitals, no talent base to staff those. They don't have the critical mass of people that companies are looking for to work with when they go. So they've been unsuccessful. The people are the most critical thing to any business. You have the greatest business plan in the world. If you don't have the right people to execute it, if you don't have talented people within your organization, then you have a nice business plan. It doesn't come to fruition. So states like Nevada, they can continue to try that, but I don't think that they will be successful, even though in terms of their business climate, they have some very, very attractive things there. Some of the things that we need to do, and we've started an organization with the Research and Development Council and the Health Institute of New Jersey in terms called Innovation New Jersey. And the recommendations there, some don't take any money at all. It's really coordinating what higher education is doing and what businesses are doing to make sure that we have and we know, and it's very transparent, what the colleges and universities are working on, what their assets are, what their capabilities are, and what the companies are looking for, and trying to facilitate and arrange those partnerships wherever we can. In other instances, it will take a little bit more money. What Dr. Satkham was talking about and Dr. Hernandez, we have not had a bond issue in this state for higher education in 22 years. 22 years. There have been a lot of bond issues during that time, but higher ed always doesn't seem to make the cut. States that are nipping at our heels have invested in higher education, and that's one of the reasons that they're getting so close to us. That is going to be critical. If we're going to build on our strength, which is our people, then we have to keep more of our scientists and researchers here. We need to have more of our people who graduate for institutions like this and Stockton and other colleges and universities, A, stay in New Jersey, and B, not leave New Jersey in the first place to go out of state. So I'm optimistic that we will get that done. I'm optimistic that what the Lieutenant Governor and the Governor has done, they're moving the state in the right direction. On a bipartisan basis, we're getting regulatory reform done. So I think there's reason to be optimistic, but there's a lot of work to be done. But I think if we do it, and I think people are committed to do it, we will be successful. So with that, I think I'll stop and leave. Sure.
Bob Morrison is the founder of Quadrant Arts Educational Research.
Thank you very much, and it's an honor actually to be here to address this class of 2010. And I certainly salute the work that Leadership New Jersey has done to create the kind of leaders that we need in our state to take us forward and to deal with some of these very important challenges. I'm not going to retread some of the statistics that have already been read, about where we are as a state, but put me in the camp of saying we're on the wrong path. And we need to do something differently to put us on the right path. If we continue down on the road that we're on, those clusters that make us different will continue to be poached by other states. Whether it's pharmaceutical, whether it's telecommunication, whether it's our inability to keep our college students here, these are all critical issues to the success of our state. However, for me, the canary in the coal mine is in our education system, and not just in our higher education system, which has been well articulated already. Newsweek magazine in July had a cover story called The Creativity Crisis, and it documented for the first time the impact of declining creativity capacity in our young people in our public schools. At a time when China is reinventing its education system to focus on creativity and innovation, and to provide the kind of skills necessary so that they are not a culture of imitation, but a culture of innovation, is critical. In Singapore, right now, they're so focused on this that they're paying children to paint murals on the side of the city buses, where you used to get arrested for spitting chewing gum. The reason for this is that they see an investment in creativity and innovation and the arts as the pathway to give them the citizens that they need to compete on a global marketplace. They're all abandoning rote memorization and test taking to create innovators and problem solvers and thinkers. That's what we need. And so when you look at the fact that a Business Week study of 1,500 CEOs said the number one capacity that they are looking for, the number one competency that they want from their employees is creativity. The business leaders want it, our schools are not providing it. Something has to give. So to me, that's the canary in the coal mine. But I do believe that there are opportunities and there are signs of progress. And I think that everyone's beginning to address the fact that, A, we have this problem. Now, how do we address it? And Choose New Jersey certainly is tackling one piece of it, and the Innovation New Jersey is looking at another piece of it. And then our cultural community, we have the arts plan that tried to take a look at what's happening from the cultural perspective. What we don't have is a plan that ties them all together, where Choose New Jersey and Innovation New Jersey and Arts Plan and everyone are working together on the global strategy for how we work together as a state to move forward, as opposed to in our individual areas. Because it is on the three legs of culture, commerce, and education that innovation will take place in this state. And make no mistake about it, other states have intentional strategies right now to attack these very issues. The question is, will we rise to the occasion and create our own intentional strategies to protect our own assets here in New Jersey and to create the kind of creative and innovative and sustainable state that we want for ourselves and for our children, the kind of state that will attract great businesses and build great universities and invest in the future of our citizens. That's the strategy that I'm hopeful that the leaders that are here and leaders around the state will come together around to bring us forward into a brighter future for New Jersey.
Thank you, Bob. Dean Parnick, Chair of the
We hope you enjoyed this Leadership New Jersey presentation of the 2010
Thank you very
Forum
much. It's,
on the
always
future
easy
of
to
New
go at the end of the
Jersey.
panel.
If you'd like more
but I'd like to
information
pick up on
about
themes
Leadership
that
New
you've heard from
Jersey,
my fellow
please visit the
panelists. I
website
think we have obviously faced very daunting task for the state of New Jersey, but of course, whatever
www.leadershipnj.org.
challenge presents opportunities.
We produce these
And,
programs
coming
in
from
the
an industry
studios
where
of
innovation
Professional
is our lifeblood,
Podcasts
and the
in
life
Cherry Hill,
sciences
New Jersey,
Healthcare Institute
on the
of
web
New
at
Jersey,
professionalpodcasts.com.
medical technology,
For everyone at Leadership
online
New Jersey,
biopharma
this is Steve
companies, and there are
Lubetkin.
huge
Thank you for
economic
being with
benefits
us,
to the state one
and
of
take
the
good
main
care.
reasons. So we are particularly sensitive to this. Companies make these kinds of decisions about where to invest and where to place our activities, particularly the R&D type activities. And in that regard, I think I see some encouragement in one thing in particular. I think the pieces are there on the table waiting to be picked up. We've got terrific higher education institutions. We've got world-class companies, many of whom are headquartered here or have a major presence here in technical industries, whether it's telecommunications or life sciences, to name two. We've got the talents of the workforce. We have all of the pieces. At the same time, we have all seen well-intentioned false starts before. Things will start and they'll just end. I'll use an anecdote. Every year, the Healthcare Institute's board has a visit from the governor's cabinet, and every year the governor's cabinet members come in, of whichever party, and talk to us about all the things they want to do to make New Jersey a more hospitable environment, and we seem to hear the same themes every year. Well, that suggests that not a lot's getting done. And that's one of the problems, and certainly from that perspective, the current administration is to be commended for having attempted to tackle these issues head-on and try to improve it. We talk about the partnerships that need to be created, and I'd like to cite 4 examples that are well known to all of you in this room. The 128 corridor around Boston, the Research Triangle in North Carolina, Silicon Valley in Northern California, and the area around La Jolla where the Scripps Institute and the University of California at San Diego have major facilities. Not surprisingly, these are the same areas where there are simply cauldrons of innovation and creativity going on. And while they've all had their challenges throughout the tough economic times we're all facing, the reality is that they have figured out a way to develop partnerships among themselves with higher education, industry, healthcare facilities, and more importantly, an environment that's being created by the state government to try to facilitate greater investment and innovation in those areas. Those are the most notable competitors we currently face here in New Jersey, but there are in fact many others who are also at it every single day, where they've organized activities to try to induce companies such as the ones that are here in New Jersey or might be thinking about coming to New Jersey to move there. These are the kinds of challenges that we have to confront. In particular, one of the recent developments that I think is noteworthy is the fact that the New Jersey State Assembly has established a life sciences task force
to try to bring some focus, for example, to our industry. This is the kind of example of the kind of energy and focus we need to get our leaders in Trenton to do for our many industries, to try to come up, as Bob said, to a strategy that would address all of these issues. So I think, on balance, we have certain key elements here that we can certainly leverage, and we should, but we need to tie them all together and really leverage the skills and strengths that we have, because the competitors are banging on our door every minute.
Before I move to the next part of this, please join me in applauding. Now, what I want to do is to
move to a more positive sense. That is, what are we doing that's working? What are the areas where we could focus on that's working? I'm going to give an example, and then I'll ask the panel if they wish to provide examples, but I also want, if we're going to have time, for the audience to participate as well. South Jersey, one of the amazing things about being in southern New Jersey, apart from it being the most beautiful place in the world, and having the shore, beaches, and so on, is that it's principally noted for tourism. Very important for the state of New Jersey, tourism. When I was in Texas, they were going through a big crisis there because the oil glut had hit. And the two governors put me on statewide committees, and we worked in building a strategy for changing the development, the economic development of Texas. When I left Texas in 1998, my children sometimes think it was 1898, but it was 1998. The largest economic factor in Texas was tourism. Oil was second. High technology was third. Really a striking turnaround. Southern New Jersey, tourism, very important, will always be. But one of the things we're doing, we have a very large research park, the FAA, William T. Hughes Research and Technology Park, 5,000 acres, 4,500 employees. But we're building an aviation park next to it. Next generation, the federal government has just allocated $6 billion of research. They proposed $30-something billion. We, of course, would like to get all of that in New Jersey, but even if we get a portion of it for the research park, it'll make a big difference. So it's a cluster. It's a federal agency, state agencies, Economic Development Authority, South Jersey Transportation Authority, the Scenery Investment Development Authority, county government, and Stockton College, all working together. And believe me, it's a wonderful challenge sometimes to get us all to work together. I happen to be the president of one board. But it's an incredible move forward, and the idea is to transform the economy of southern New Jersey so that avionics now becomes a major role. We'll be bringing in 2,000 researchers onto that campus with their families. 2,000 researchers creating 5,000 other jobs. And then those jobs roll out to another 5,000 to 10,000. That's an example, I think, of cluster economics and people working right together. I don't know if our panel if you have other suggestions as examples.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, the race to the microphone. Two quick examples. One, Sustainable New Jersey, an effort to begin to lay out plans for creating sustainable environments in our municipalities where they come on, they've got a checklist that they sign off onto to create the right kind of environments within our community or individual communities. And I think that's an example of how different sectors can come together with municipalities to work together toward a common goal. The second point that I want to make is that I believe that the examples that we have for potential success already exist in the fact that very smart people and organizations and companies are beginning to recognize this as a challenge and develop the individual strategies to address their particular interest. What we need to do is find a way to bring all of those interests together around the same table in a convening so we can figure out how we work together to move that forward. So I'm optimistic that the solutions are there. We just need to get the right people in the room to have those conversations.
I also think, Herman, when you talk about the regional aspects of it, that's very important because, of course, as we all know, each region of the state has distinct characteristics, and I think that we need to ensure that our strategies are tailored to the particular dynamics in terms of the population densities, the array of where industry is located, the types of attractions. For example, tourism, as you mentioned, is a major driver in the southern part of the state, not quite so much in the northern part where there are other drivers. So I think part of it is a recognition of what we are in terms of how New Jersey is arrayed, and to develop strategies that, in some respects, focus on localities, but at the same time also have more of a regional flavor as well. Just to use an example, a number of years ago, our industry came to appreciate that, not surprisingly, much of the industry itself is in the northern part of the state, but what we discovered was we have an enormous presence through our vendors in the southern part of the state, very, very large, in the billions of dollars. And this was not only a revelation when we finally looked at it as a body, as an industry, and I think this is another thing we need to do, is develop more industry-wide recognition and look at some of these things across an industry, because suddenly you find you've got critical mass that you don't even realize you had. And this creates enormous opportunities to do things that perhaps on a one-off basis you might not have the opportunity to do. So I think we should be looking at that and sort of looking at it and striating it and trying to tailor it a little bit more to the particular dynamics of what we're focusing on.
One other thing, I think the key here is government leadership. And the Choose New Jersey, and I see Dennis here, but the Choose New Jersey concept is exactly what needs to happen, because you need to see that, one, that there's corporate backing it up. There's corporations that are backing up. There is the government that's support. Now, you have to show results. We're in a stage, you know, everybody knows marketing. Everybody knows advertising. Everybody, if you go on YouTube, you'll see some of the best ads you'll ever want to find. So what you have to show, what this country is demanding, is crying for, is results. I'm going to go in this direction, and I'm going to be consistent. Now, I might have to change course with a little more information, but they want results. Now, corporations are in that very difficult period where results are not that easy. Research has become more sophisticated, takes more time, is not as serendipitous as it was in the past. The Research and Development Council gave an award to a Nobel laureate from Bell Labs the other night, and George Smith is his name, and he discovered the digital concepts that we're all now using in our cameras, in the big cameras that are used for scoping out things around the world. And the funny thing about the whole concept, the whole idea that he came up to, it was an hour discussion that he had at Bell Labs with the small group of people that came up with how he came up with the idea. Then Bell Labs supported it and moved it in a direction. Those are the kinds of things. That's the kind of, you know, that era of the Bell Labs, the era of Edison, where you create that environment where people are talking with one another and actually have the time to do the kind of research, the kind of thinking, the collaboration that's necessary. But I do think government leadership, which makes New Jersey, that's one last point. New Jersey is unique in the sense that everybody else is running in elections, and you're a political group, so I can tell you this. We have sort of this off year. We're in an odd year. Our elections are run in the odd years. So we have this 1 year where our governor made certain decisions that move things along in this state first, before anybody else. All the other states are just as serious situation as we are. And California, I don't know who wants to govern that state. I don't even understand. Yeah. And then they get Governor Moonbeam. We're gonna watch and see if he's come down to earth yet, because I remember him in the 80s. But the point is, I think, you know, you really have to have that leadership from the government, and there has to be some real results. And that Dennis, that's off to you then. The results are important, but the government has to lead, and that's a key part of it.
I just had one rejoinder, and that is, I think, Tony mentioned California. Of course, California is enormous in many ways. We have geographic advantages in New Jersey in that we are geographically a smaller state, which means that we don't have the type of sprawl and the reach and the coverage. And I think that gives us some opportunities to do things here because we can reach our population, we can induce people. There can be that prospect of having companies near each other. They can rub shoulders intellectually, as my colleagues in academia like to say, when they're nearby, and they can collaborate and they can do things because it's not hard to do them. Clearly, we have work to do with our transportation infrastructure. You heard Mr. Baroni speak to that. But at the same time, I think this presents some enormous opportunities in that regard as well that we can and have the opportunity to leverage.
If I do this very quickly and in sort of summation, some of you know that I've spent much of my career in medical education. What we need in New Jersey is infectious intelligence that we take pride in, and joy in, and move forward in. Leadership New Jersey is a part of that infectious intelligence, bringing people together from all over the state to look at these issues, go back to their home institutions, and really help us grow New Jersey in a significant way. Stockton is very pleased to be a part of this. We are in the best urban university in the United States, in the universe, I should say, probably. And the state colleges in New Jersey are really remarkable. There's no other state that has 4 of its state colleges ranked in the top 10 by U.S. News and World Reports in the Northeast, despite the level of funding and the lack of capital growth. It's really incredible. Stockton is very pleased to be a part of Leadership New Jersey. We're very pleased to have Pedro Santana and Alex Marino as a part of this, and Claudine Keenan.
We hope you enjoyed this Leadership New Jersey presentation of the 2010 Forum on the Future of New Jersey. If you'd like more information about Leadership New Jersey, please visit the website www.leadershipnj.org. We produce these programs in the studios of Professional Podcasts in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, on the web at professionalpodcasts.com. For everyone at Leadership New Jersey, this is Steve Lubetkin. Thank you for being with us, and take good care.